Every distraction costs you something. Not tomorrow. Today. Every notification. Every unnecessary conversation. Every hour spent scrolling instead of building steals a piece of the future you're trying to create. Most people don't fail because they're untalented. They fail because their attention is constantly being rented by things that don't matter. This audiobook is about taking it back. Because focus is no longer a productivity skill. It's a survival skill. Master your focus now, or spend the next decade wondering where your potential disappeared. Chapter 1. Your attention is your most valuable asset. Look around. Everything is competing for your attention. Not your money first. Not your talent. Not even your time. Your attention. Because whoever controls your attention eventually controls your decisions. Your decisions become your habits. Your habits become your identity. And your identity becomes your future. That's how it works. The companies that shape the modern world understand this better than most people understand themselves. Every notification is designed to interrupt you. Every recommendation is designed to keep you watching. Every endless feed is designed to prevent you from leaving. Why? Because your attention has become the world's most valuable currency. The longer they hold it, the more valuable you become to them. The question is simple. Who is benefiting from your attention today? You have a choice. You can spend your attention building someone else's empire, or you can invest it in building your own. That's the key. Most people think success is about intelligence. They're wrong. Others believe it's about motivation. They're wrong too. Success begins with attention, because attention decides where your effort goes. Effort decides your progress. Progress decides your confidence. Confidence changes your identity. Everything starts with attention. Protect your attention. Protect your future. Say it again. Protect your attention. Protect your future. Never forget those words. Imagine two young people graduating from school on the same day. They have similar intelligence, similar opportunities, similar health, similar education. At first, there is almost no difference between them. One chooses to protect his attention. The other gives it away freely. The first spends 1 uninterrupted hour every day learning valuable skills. Reading, building, practicing, thinking deeply. The second spends that same hour scrolling endlessly, checking messages every few minutes, reacting to every distraction that appears. 1 hour. That's all. At the end of 1 week, there isn't much difference. After 1 month, still very little. After 1 year, you begin to notice a gap. After 5 years, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. After 10 years, they appear to be completely different people. What happened? Talent didn't change. Opportunity didn't suddenly appear. Luck wasn't responsible. Attention created the difference. Consistency multiplied it. You have a choice. Every focused hour is an investment. Every distracted hour is a withdrawal from your future. That's the key. People often ask why some individuals seem unstoppable. They assume those people possess extraordinary gifts. But look closely. You'll usually find something much simpler. They protect their attention. They don't chase every trend. They don't react to every opinion. They don't interrupt meaningful work every 5 minutes. They understand a truth that most people ignore. What owns your attention owns your life. Repeat it. What owns your attention owns your life. If your attention belongs to fear, fear owns your life. If your attention belongs to drama, drama owns your life. If your attention belongs to entertainment, entertainment owns your life. If your attention belongs to growth, growth owns your life. It's that simple. It's not about having more hours. It's about directing the hours you already have. Many people say they don't have enough time, but often, time isn't the real problem. Attention is. An hour broken into 60 interruptions isn't really an hour. It's 60 fragments. Nothing meaningful grows inside fragments. Deep work requires deep attention. Strong relationships require deep attention. Learning requires deep attention. Peace requires deep attention. Everything valuable asks for your full presence. Everything meaningless asks for only a few seconds. And those few seconds quietly become years. Protect your attention. Protect your future. Think about the last time you tried to accomplish something important. How many times did you stop? How many times did you check your phone? How many times did your mind leave the task before your body did? You weren't lazy. You were trained to be distracted. There's a difference. And if distraction can be trained, then focus can be trained too. That's good news, because habits are learned. Attention is learned. Discipline is learned. You're not trapped. You have a choice. Many people believe they need more motivation before they can focus. The opposite is true. Focus creates motivation. When you stay with one meaningful task long enough to make progress, your brain begins to enjoy progress itself. Confidence grows. Momentum builds. Suddenly, the work feels easier. Not because the work changed, because you changed. That's the key. It's not about motivation. It's about discipline. It's not about talent. It's about consistency. It's not about finding more time. It's about protecting the attention you already possess. Your future is built one focused hour at a time, not one perfect year, not one lucky opportunity. One focused hour, then another, and another. The remarkable thing about focused attention is that it compounds. 1 hour of concentrated learning becomes knowledge. Knowledge becomes skill. Skill becomes opportunity. Opportunity becomes freedom. All because you decided to stay present. Most people underestimate the power of small daily focus because results arrive quietly. They expect dramatic breakthroughs. Instead, life changes almost invisibly. 1 page read today. 1 workout completed tomorrow. 1 business improved next week. 1 difficult conversation handled with presence. None of these moments look extraordinary. Together, they become an extraordinary life. What owns your attention owns your life. Remember that every morning. Remember it before opening your phone. Remember it before saying yes to unnecessary commitments. Remember it before allowing someone else's priorities to replace your own. Protect your attention. Protect your future. The world will always offer you more distractions than you can possibly consume. There will always be another video, another notification, another headline, another argument, another opinion demanding your reaction. You do not owe your attention to everything. In fact, your greatest responsibility is deciding what does not deserve it. Because every time you say yes to distraction, you quietly say no to your future. Every time you protect your focus, you quietly vote for the person you are becoming. You have a choice. Make that choice every day. Not once. Every day. Because your future is not created by one massive decision. It is created by thousands of moments in which you decide what deserves your attention. That is the foundation of everything this audiobook will teach. Protect your attention. Protect your future. What owns your attention owns your life. Master this truth, and every chapter that follows will become easier to understand. Because once you recognize attention as your greatest asset, you'll naturally want to defend it. And that brings us to the next lesson. Your attention is valuable, but there is an entire system designed to steal it. Now it's time to expose that system. Chapter 2. Stop feeding the distraction machine. You are not fighting a lack of discipline. You are fighting an industry. That distinction changes everything. Most people blame themselves every time they lose focus. They think they are weak, lazy, unmotivated. But look closer. The modern world has been carefully designed to interrupt you, not occasionally, constantly. Every notification, every vibrating phone, every autoplay video, every endless feed, every recommended clip, every flashing headline, every one of them asks the same question. Can I borrow just a few seconds of your attention? It never sounds dangerous. It never feels dangerous. That's exactly why it works. The distraction machine doesn't demand your entire day. It only asks for one moment, then another, then another. Before you realize it, your best hours belong to someone else. Every click has a cost. Repeat those words. Every click has a cost. You don't always pay with money. You pay with focus. You pay with momentum. You pay with clarity. You pay with opportunities you never even notice disappearing. That's the key. Think about how your morning begins. Many people wake up with good intentions. Today will be different. Today, I'll finally work on my goals. Today, I'll exercise. Today, I'll study. Today, I'll build the business. Today, I'll write the book. Then they unlock their phone. 5 minutes becomes 20. 20 becomes 40. One notification becomes 15. An interesting video becomes an endless stream of recommendations. Suddenly, the morning is gone. Nothing dramatic happened. Nothing catastrophic. Just thousands of tiny decisions pulling attention away from what mattered. That's how dreams quietly die. Not through failure, through distraction. Distraction always feels harmless until years disappear. Remember that sentence. Distraction always feels harmless until years disappear. No one plans to waste 5 years. No one wakes up and decides to become average. It happens gradually. One distracted morning, one distracted afternoon, one distracted evening. Repeat those days often enough, and an entire decade quietly slips away. You have a choice. You can continue feeding the machine, or you can begin starving it. That's the key. The companies behind the apps you use are filled with brilliant engineers. Their job is not simply to build software. Their job is to hold your attention for as long as possible. Every color, every sound, every notification badge, every recommendation, every reward, every algorithm. None of it exists by accident. It exists because attention is profitable. If millions of people spend 1 more minute looking at a screen, someone earns millions of dollars. Your attention is the product. Think about that. The product isn't the video. The product isn't the app. The product is you. The longer you stay, the more valuable you become. That doesn't make technology evil. Technology is a tool. But tools become dangerous when they begin controlling the person holding them. It's not about rejecting technology. It's about refusing to become controlled by it. That's the difference. It's not about deleting every app. It's about developing enough discipline to decide when they deserve your attention. You don't need their permission to disconnect. You don't need their permission to protect your mind. You have a choice. Imagine someone who checks their phone every 6 minutes. It sounds unbelievable. Yet many people do exactly that. Sometimes without realizing it. A vibration, a habit, a reflex. Their hand reaches for the phone before their conscious mind even notices. Hours later, they wonder why they feel mentally exhausted. The answer is simple. Constant switching drains mental energy. Your brain pays a price every time it changes direction. One email, one message, one headline, one video, then back to work, then another interruption. Each switch carries a hidden tax. By the end of the day, your attention has been divided into hundreds of tiny fragments. Fragments never create excellence. Deep work requires uninterrupted thought. Creative thinking requires uninterrupted thought. Problem-solving requires uninterrupted thought. Yet modern life encourages exactly the opposite. That's why focused people seem extraordinary. They are not necessarily smarter. They simply protect long stretches of uninterrupted attention. Every click has a cost. Ask yourself an uncomfortable question. How many times did you unlock your phone yesterday? Not because you needed something, because you wanted stimulation, because silence felt uncomfortable, because your brain had become addicted to novelty. That word matters. Novelty. The brain naturally enjoys discovering something new. Thousands of years ago, this helped human beings survive. Today, that same instinct is constantly exploited. Refresh. Scroll. Swipe. Refresh again. Maybe something exciting happened. Maybe something changed. Maybe there's something better waiting just below. This cycle never ends. The reward is unpredictable. Sometimes you find something interesting. Sometimes you don't. Ironically, that unpredictability makes the habit even stronger. Soon, your brain begins craving stimulation instead of progress. Progress often feels slow. Novelty feels instant. One builds your future. The other only occupies your present. Choose your future over your feed. Say it again. Choose your future over your feed. This isn't merely about social media. The distraction machine exists everywhere. Endless news, streaming platforms, online arguments, celebrity gossip, constant email checking. Breaking news alerts that change nothing about your life. The machine simply changes its appearance. Its purpose stays the same. Keep you consuming. Keep you reacting. Keep you returning. Because a distracted person rarely creates. They consume. A focused person creates. That difference changes lives. It's not about entertainment. It's about balance. Rest has value. Relaxation has value. Laughter has value. But unconscious consumption is different. Ask yourself after every hour online, what did this give me? Did it teach you something meaningful? Did it improve your relationships? Did it move your goals forward? Or did it simply make another hour disappear? You have a choice. Every day. Every hour. Every moment. Successful people are not people who never feel distracted. They simply recognize distraction sooner. They interrupt it faster. They return to what matters more consistently. That's the discipline. When you catch yourself reaching for your phone without purpose, stop. Take one breath. Ask one question. What am I avoiding? Often, distraction isn't the problem. It's the symptom. Maybe you're avoiding difficult work. Maybe you're avoiding uncertainty. Maybe you're avoiding boredom. The phone becomes an escape. But every escape delays growth. Every click has a cost. Remember that. Sometimes the cost is invisible. Sometimes it's a missed opportunity. Sometimes it's a forgotten idea. Sometimes it's the habit of never staying with one thing long enough to become exceptional. Small costs become enormous costs through repetition. Just as focused hours compound into success, distracted moments compound into regret. Distraction always feels harmless until years disappear. Imagine your future self looking back 10 years from now. What would matter more? Thousands of forgotten videos? Or the business you finally built? The book you finally wrote? The skill you finally mastered? The family you gave your full attention to? The answer is obvious. The difficult part is acting on it today. Choose your future over your feed. Not because someone told you to, because your future deserves your full attention. Every time you refuse an unnecessary distraction, you strengthen a new identity. You become someone who chooses intention over impulse, creation over consumption, progress over stimulation. That is how focus is built. One decision at a time. One interruption refused at a time. One protected hour at a time. The distraction machine will never stop asking for your attention, but it cannot force you to give it. You have a choice. Always. Protect your attention. Protect your future. Because every click has a cost, and every focused decision is an investment in the life you actually want. Now that you've seen how the distraction machine operates, it's time to build the strength to resist it. Because avoiding distraction is only the beginning. The real transformation comes when you can stay with one meaningful task long after everyone else has given up. Chapter 3. Train your brain to stay with one thing. The greatest advantage in today's world is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not luck. It is not even hard work. It is the ability to stay with one thing long enough for extraordinary results to appear. That ability has become rare, which means it has become valuable. Most people believe they have an attention problem. In reality, they have a staying problem. They don't know how to remain with one meaningful task after the excitement disappears. The beginning is always easy. Starting a new project feels exciting. Opening a new notebook feels exciting. Buying new equipment feels exciting. Making plans feels exciting. Talking about goals feels exciting. But success has never belonged to people who love beginnings. It belongs to people who master the middle. The middle is where boredom lives. The middle is where progress slows. The middle is where distractions become louder. The middle is where most people quietly walk away. Not physically, mentally. They are still sitting at the desk, but their attention has already left the room. That's the key. Your body can remain in front of the work while your mind escapes somewhere else. That is the invisible habit destroying potential. You have a choice. You can train your mind to run every time the work becomes uncomfortable, or you can train it to stay. Stay with it. Repeat those words. Stay with it. Again. Stay with it. Simple words. Life-changing discipline. Think about learning any valuable skill. Playing an instrument. Writing. Programming. Running a business. Learning another language. Building physical strength. None of these become rewarding immediately. The early stages feel awkward. Progress feels painfully slow. Mistakes happen constantly. Results seem invisible. Many people mistake this stage for failure. It isn't failure, it's the price of mastery. The people who become exceptional are not the ones who avoid this stage. They remain inside it longer than everyone else. They stay with it. Imagine two people learning the piano. Both begin with excitement. Both dream of playing beautifully. After a week, enthusiasm starts fading. The songs sound terrible. Their fingers feel clumsy. Practice becomes repetitive. One person quits. The other continues. After 6 months, one can barely remember the lessons. The other plays music that once seemed impossible. Talent didn't separate them. Staying separated them. The same pattern exists everywhere. The entrepreneur who survives difficult years eventually appears lucky. The writer who finishes hundreds of pages suddenly becomes an overnight success. The athlete who repeats the same movements thousands of times suddenly looks naturally gifted. People admire the outcome. They rarely notice the staying. Stay with it. One of the biggest lies in modern culture is the belief that progress should always feel exciting. Real progress is often repetitive. Real progress is often quiet. Real progress is often boring. That's why so few people achieve it. They confuse emotional excitement with meaningful growth. Growth rarely announces itself. It arrives slowly, almost invisibly. Then, one day, everything changes. The breakthrough comes after the boredom. Remember that. The breakthrough comes after the boredom. Not before. After. Every person chasing excellence eventually reaches a point where nothing feels rewarding anymore. The work becomes routine. The excitement disappears. Improvement slows. This is the moment that determines everything. Because boredom is not a stop sign. It is a doorway. Walk through it. Most people turn around. You don't. You stay. That's the discipline. The breakthrough comes after the boredom. Why does boredom feel so uncomfortable? Because your brain has become accustomed to constant stimulation. Quick videos, instant messages, rapid entertainment. Your mind expects something new every few seconds. Meaningful work doesn't operate that way. Meaningful work asks you to remain, to repeat, to refine, to struggle. At first, your brain resists. It whispers, "This is enough. Let's check the phone. Take a break. Start something else." These thoughts are normal. You don't need to fear them. You simply don't need to obey them. You have a choice. The goal isn't eliminating distraction. The goal is refusing to follow it. Every time your attention wanders, gently bring it back, again, and again, and again. That is how focus grows, not through perfection, through repetition. Focus is trained, not found. Many people wait for the perfect environment before concentrating. They believe focus will magically appear when life becomes quieter, when work becomes easier, when stress disappears, when motivation returns. They wait. Months pass. Years pass. Nothing changes. Because focus isn't something you discover. It is something you build. Focus is trained, not found. Imagine walking into a gym for the first time. No one expects to lift enormous weights immediately. Strength develops through repetition. Attention works exactly the same way. Every uninterrupted minute is another repetition. Every time you resist switching tasks, you strengthen your mental muscles. Every time you continue working after boredom arrives, your attention becomes stronger. Your brain adapts. Eventually, what once felt difficult becomes normal. That is how transformation happens. Gradually. Let's make this practical. Suppose you normally work for 15 minutes before checking your phone. Tomorrow, aim for 20. The next week, 25. Eventually, 30. Then 45. Then 60. Do not rush. Train. Because that's exactly what you're doing. Training, not testing. Training assumes improvement takes time. Testing demands immediate perfection. Too many people test themselves every day. Very few train themselves. Become someone who trains. Stay with it. There is another habit quietly destroying concentration. Task switching. You begin writing an email, then remember another assignment, then check a message, then search for something online, then respond to another notification, then return to the original task, or at least try to. Every switch forces your brain to reload information. It must remember where you stopped. Recover your thoughts. Rebuild momentum. That recovery consumes energy. You may think you're multitasking. In reality, you're repeatedly starting over. Momentum cannot survive constant interruption. Imagine pushing a heavy boulder uphill. Every interruption sends it rolling backward. You spend more energy recovering than advancing. Protect your momentum. Finish one meaningful block of work before beginning another. Stay with it. Your attention becomes sharper every time you refuse unnecessary switching. Some people fear boredom because they mistake it for emptiness. Look deeper. Boredom is often the moment your deepest thinking begins. When external stimulation disappears, your own ideas finally have room to speak. This is why some of history's greatest thinkers valued long walks, quiet mornings, and uninterrupted solitude. They understood something the modern world has forgotten. Creativity does not thrive in constant interruption. It thrives in sustained attention. The breakthrough comes after the boredom. Not because boredom is magical, because boredom forces your mind to stop searching outside and begin searching within. That is where original ideas live. That is where solutions emerge. That is where clarity is born. Many people never experience this because they interrupt boredom the moment it appears. They reach for a screen before their mind has a chance to think deeply. You don't have to live that way. You have a choice. The next time boredom arrives, don't escape immediately. Remain. Observe. Think. Let your mind settle. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Soon, it will feel peaceful. Eventually, it will become your advantage. Focus is trained, not found. Remember that every morning. Remember it every time you feel the urge to quit. Remember it every time your attention starts wandering. Your ability to stay with one meaningful task may become the single greatest competitive advantage of your entire life. Not because staying is exciting, because almost nobody else is willing to do it. Stay with it. The breakthrough comes after the boredom. Focus is trained, not found. Master those 3 truths, and your attention will become stronger than your impulses. But staying with one task requires one more powerful ability. You must stop seeing boredom as an enemy. You must learn to welcome it. Because what feels uncomfortable today may become the foundation of your greatest achievements. Chapter 4. Boredom is the gateway to greatness. Most people are afraid of boredom, not because boredom is painful, because boredom is unfamiliar. The modern world has trained you to believe that every empty moment should be filled. Waiting in line? Check your phone. Sitting quietly. Open another app. Riding the elevator? Scroll. Eating alone? Watch something. Walking outside? Put on a podcast. Every silent space is immediately occupied. Every pause is eliminated. Every moment of stillness is treated like a problem that needs solving. But what if boredom was never the problem? What if escaping boredom is the problem? That changes everything. The greatest ideas rarely arrive when your mind is drowning in stimulation. They arrive when your mind finally has room to think. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. Repeat those words. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. Again. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. That is the beginning of real focus. The human mind was never designed to absorb endless streams of information without rest. It needs silence. It needs space. It needs moments where nothing demands its attention, because only then can it begin asking better questions. Only then can it connect ideas. Only then can it solve problems that constant distraction keeps buried beneath noise. That's the key. Silence is not empty. Silence is productive. The world teaches you to fear silence because silence forces you to face yourself. Without notifications, without entertainment, without constant conversation, there is nowhere to hide. Only your thoughts remain. Many people avoid this, not because they are weak, because they have forgotten how powerful quiet can be. Silence builds strength. Remember that. Silence builds strength. Every great builder has understood this truth in one form or another. Think about the writer. People imagine inspiration arriving in dramatic moments. But writing a meaningful book is rarely dramatic. It is often hours of staring at a blank page, writing one sentence, deleting it, writing another, thinking, waiting, continuing. The breakthrough does not happen because the writer found endless excitement. It happens because the writer remained present during long periods when nothing seemed to happen. The outside world calls it boredom. The writer calls it work. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. Now think about inventors. History remembers the invention. It forgets the thousands of quiet hours that came before it. Countless experiments, repeated failures, long stretches of concentration, tiny improvements. The inventor sits with one problem longer than everyone else. Eventually, the answer appears, not by accident, through uninterrupted attention. The breakthrough belongs to the person who stayed. Silence builds strength. Athletes understand this better than almost anyone. Championships are not won under bright lights. They are won during ordinary mornings when nobody is watching. Repeating the same movement. Again, again, again. One swing, one shot, one sprint, one repetition, thousands of times. The routine is not glamorous. It is repetitive, sometimes painfully repetitive. Many athletes become bored. The great ones keep practicing anyway, because they understand something most people never learn. Mastery hides inside repetition. Comfort kills concentration. Repeat it. Comfort kills concentration. Growth begins where comfort ends. If every moment feels entertaining, you're probably not improving. Improvement often feels slow. Improvement often feels ordinary. Improvement often feels boring. That is why it works. The entrepreneur experiences the same reality. People see successful companies. They see interviews, awards, recognition, financial freedom. They rarely see the years spent solving the same difficult problems every single day. The meetings, the planning, the revisions, the failures, the long evenings spent thinking when everyone else had already gone home. Real success is usually built during moments nobody celebrates. Moments that appear boring from the outside. Those moments become extraordinary through repetition. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. Ask yourself a difficult question. When was the last time you sat quietly for 30 minutes without reaching for stimulation? No phone, no music, no television, no scrolling. Just your thoughts. For many people, the answer is difficult to remember. Not because 30 minutes is impossible, because constant stimulation has become normal. The brain begins craving novelty every few minutes. If nothing exciting happens, discomfort appears. That discomfort is not dangerous. It is withdrawal. Withdrawal from constant distraction. And like every form of training, the beginning feels uncomfortable. You have a choice. You can satisfy every craving for stimulation, or you can strengthen your ability to remain present. That's the key. Imagine planting a seed. You water it. Then nothing happens. One day passes. Still nothing. Another week. Still nothing. Would you dig up the seed every day to check whether it's growing? Of course not. You understand that growth is happening beneath the surface. Focus works exactly the same way. So does discipline. So does creativity. Much of your progress is invisible before it becomes obvious. People quit because they mistake invisible progress for no progress. Stay long enough, and invisible growth becomes visible success. Silence builds strength. Some of your best ideas will arrive after 20 minutes of feeling bored. Not during the first minute. Not during the 5th. After your brain stops demanding entertainment. After your thoughts slow down. After your attention settles. Only then do deeper thoughts begin to emerge. Questions become clearer. Problems become simpler. Connections become obvious. This is why many creative people take long walks. Not because walking itself creates genius, because walking creates uninterrupted space for thinking. The body moves. The mind wanders with purpose. The noise fades. Ideas appear. You don't need to become a writer or inventor to benefit from this. Every profession rewards deep thinking. Every meaningful relationship improves with full presence. Every difficult decision becomes easier when your mind is quiet enough to hear itself think. Silence builds strength. There is another reason people avoid boredom. Boredom exposes unfinished work. The moment you stop distracting yourself, your mind reminds you of what still needs attention. The difficult conversation, the unfinished project, the business idea you've postponed, the health you've neglected, the dream you've delayed. Entertainment temporarily silences those reminders. Silence brings them back. Many people mistake that feeling for anxiety. Sometimes it is simply clarity. Your mind is showing you what matters. Listen carefully. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. There is enormous power in learning to sit with discomfort without immediately escaping. That skill transforms every area of life. It helps you resist unhealthy habits. It helps you make wiser decisions. It helps you finish meaningful work. It helps you stay calm under pressure. Because the person who cannot tolerate 5 minutes of boredom will struggle to tolerate the long process required for excellence. Comfort kills concentration. The world constantly promises comfort. Faster results, instant entertainment, immediate rewards, easy success. But the things that matter most rarely arrive instantly. Trust, wisdom, mastery, character. They all demand patience. They all demand repetition. They all demand time spent doing work that is often invisible and sometimes boring. That is why they remain valuable. Few people are willing to pay that price. Become one of them. The next time you feel bored, resist the urge to escape. Do not immediately search for stimulation. Pause. Breathe. Remain. Observe your thoughts. Allow your attention to settle. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Soon, it will feel natural. Eventually, it will become one of your greatest advantages. You have a choice. Every quiet moment can become another opportunity to strengthen your mind, or another opportunity to feed distraction. Choose wisely. Don't escape boredom. Enter it. Silence builds strength. Comfort kills concentration. These are not just motivational phrases. They are practical instructions for building a life that is directed by intention instead of impulse. Master boredom, and you gain access to deeper focus. Master deeper focus, and you unlock higher levels of performance. But there is one habit that silently destroys even the strongest attention. Many people are proud of it. They call it productivity. In reality, it is one of the greatest myths of the modern world. Now it's time to expose it. Chapter 5. Multitasking is a beautiful lie. Modern society celebrates busy people, not productive people. Busy people. There is a difference. A productive person finishes meaningful work. A busy person jumps from task to task, constantly moving but rarely advancing. From the outside, both appear active. From the inside, only one is making real progress. The other is trapped in motion without momentum. That is the illusion of multitasking. For years, people proudly claimed they could do several things at once. Answer emails while attending meetings. Scroll through social media while watching educational videos. Reply to messages while working on important projects. Listen to a podcast while planning tomorrow, checking notifications, and eating lunch. They called it efficiency. In reality, it was fragmentation. Your brain was never designed to perform multiple demanding tasks simultaneously. It was designed to switch between them. That sounds like a small difference. It isn't. Every switch carries a price. Every switch forces your brain to stop one mental process and begin another. That transition is not free. It consumes energy. It weakens concentration. It slows progress. That's the key. You are not multitasking. You are repeatedly interrupting yourself. Imagine reading a book. Every 2 paragraphs, someone closes the book, asks you a question, waits for your answer, then hands the book back. Could you still finish the book? Yes. Would you enjoy it as much? Probably not. Would you understand it as deeply? Certainly not. Would it take longer? Without question. That is exactly what task switching does to your mind. The interruption doesn't simply steal the moment itself. It steals the momentum that was building before the interruption happened. Momentum is invisible, but it is one of your greatest assets. When you work deeply for 30 or 40 minutes, your thoughts become connected. Ideas begin flowing naturally. Solutions appear more quickly. Your brain enters a rhythm. Then your phone vibrates. You glance at one notification. Only a few seconds. Nothing important. You put the phone down. But something has changed. The rhythm is gone. Now your brain must climb back to where it was. Sometimes that takes several minutes. Sometimes much longer. Most people never notice this invisible recovery time. They only notice that they feel mentally tired. The exhaustion isn't caused by hard work. It is caused by constant restarting. Scattered effort creates scattered results. Repeat it. Scattered effort creates scattered results. Again. Scattered effort creates scattered results. That sentence explains why so many talented people remain stuck. They possess enough intelligence, enough opportunity, enough ambition, but their attention is scattered across too many directions. Imagine trying to dig 10 wells at the same time. You dig 1 meter, then move somewhere else. Dig another meter, then another, then another. Months later, you have 10 shallow holes, no water, no results. Now imagine digging 1 well, the same amount of effort, the same amount of time. But every strike of the shovel goes into the same place. Eventually, you reach water. The difference was never effort. The difference was focus. One thing, one goal, one direction. Say those words. One thing, one goal, one direction. This is how meaningful work gets done. Not through endless activity, through concentrated attention. Think about sunlight. On an ordinary day, sunlight gently warms your skin. It lights the world. It feels pleasant. But place a magnifying glass between the sunlight and a single point on the ground. Something extraordinary happens. The same sunlight becomes powerful enough to create fire. Nothing changed about the sun. The energy remained exactly the same. Only the focus changed. Your attention works exactly the same way. Scattered attention warms many places. Focused attention changes lives. The successful entrepreneur, the accomplished musician, the respected surgeon, the elite athlete, the skilled craftsman. None of them became exceptional by spreading their attention across dozens of priorities. They concentrated ordinary effort into extraordinary results. That is your challenge. Become the magnifying glass. Depth always beats speed. Remember that. Depth always beats speed. Our culture encourages speed. Faster responses, faster growth, faster results, faster everything. But speed without direction creates exhaustion. Imagine driving at 100 miles per hour in the wrong direction. The faster you go, the farther you move away from where you actually want to be. Speed is valuable only after direction is clear. One thing, one goal, one direction. Ask yourself another difficult question. How often do you begin one important task, only to stop because another task suddenly feels more urgent? Not more important, more urgent. There is a difference. Urgency shouts. Importance whispers. The phone rings. An email arrives. A notification appears. Someone asks a question. Your brain immediately reacts. Before long, your day belongs to whatever demanded attention most loudly. Meanwhile, your meaningful work quietly waits, day after day, week after week, until eventually you convince yourself you simply don't have time. You do have time. You simply gave your attention away in pieces. Scattered effort creates scattered results. There is another hidden danger in constant task switching. Creativity disappears. Great ideas rarely arrive in the first 5 minutes. They appear after sustained thinking, after your brain explores possibilities, makes unexpected connections, questions assumptions, builds something original. Interrupt that process every few minutes, and creativity never fully develops. Your mind stays on the surface, never reaching the depth where breakthroughs live. Think about a diver searching for treasure beneath the ocean. If the diver returns to the surface every 30 seconds, how much will be discovered? Very little. Real discoveries require staying below long enough to explore. Your attention must learn to dive. Depth always beats speed. This applies to conversations as well. Have you ever spoken with someone who checked their phone every minute? Technically, they were present. Emotionally, they were somewhere else. Their attention was divided. Their connection became shallow. Relationships grow through focused attention, not divided attention. Your family deserves your presence. Your work deserves your presence. Your dreams deserve your presence. Everything valuable asks for depth. Nothing meaningful is strengthened through constant interruption. You have a choice. You can become someone who reacts to everything, or someone who commits deeply to what matters. That's the key. Practical transformation begins with simple decisions. Choose one priority each day, not 10. 1. Protect time for that priority. Silence unnecessary notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Finish one meaningful block before beginning another. When your mind wanders, gently return, not with frustration, with discipline. Every return strengthens your attention. Every completed session strengthens your confidence. Focus grows through repetition. Soon, your mind begins trusting itself again. You become someone who finishes, not because you work longer, because you work deeper. One thing, one goal, one direction. People often admire individuals who seem calm under pressure. They assume calmness is a personality trait. Often it is simply the result of focused attention. A scattered mind feels overwhelmed because it attempts to carry everything at once. A focused mind asks one question: what matters most right now? Then it gives that answer everything it has. That simplicity creates peace, not because life became easier, because attention became clearer. Scattered effort creates scattered results. Your life reflects whatever receives your deepest attention. If your attention constantly changes direction, your results will constantly remain incomplete. Half-finished books, half-built businesses, half-developed skills, half-lived dreams. Not because you lacked potential, because your attention never stayed long enough. Remember the magnifying glass. Remember the sunlight. Ordinary energy. Extraordinary focus. That is all greatness has ever required. Depth always beats speed. Always. The world will continue encouraging you to move faster, answer sooner, consume more, react instantly. You do not have to accept that invitation. You have a choice. Slow down. Concentrate. Commit. Finish. One thing. One goal. One direction. Scattered effort creates scattered results. Depth always beats speed. Live by those principles, and your attention will become one of the rarest strengths in the modern world. But even focused people eventually face another challenge. They discover that discipline becomes much easier or much harder, depending on the world around them, because your environment is either protecting your focus or quietly destroying it. It's time to take control of that environment. Chapter 6. Build an environment that protects your mind. Most people believe discipline begins in the mind. It doesn't. It begins in the environment. That may sound surprising. After everything we've discussed about focus, attention, and mental strength, you might expect the solution to be more willpower, more determination, more motivation. But motivation is unreliable. Willpower is limited. Your environment is constant. That's the key. If you have to fight temptation every minute of every day, eventually temptation will win. Not because you are weak, because you are human. The strongest people in the world do not rely on endless self-control. They build environments where self-control is needed less often. Environment beats motivation. Say those words. Environment beats motivation. Again. Environment beats motivation. That single truth can change your life. Imagine placing a bowl of candy on your desk, right beside your keyboard, within reach. Every few minutes, you see it, you smell it, you think about it. Now imagine moving that same bowl into another room, behind a closed door. Nothing about your character changed. Nothing about your discipline changed. Only your environment changed. Yet resisting temptation suddenly became much easier. This principle applies to everything, not only food, distraction, money, habits, relationships, success, failure. The environment quietly shapes behavior long before decisions are made. You have a choice. You can build an environment that supports your future, or one that quietly sabotages it. Most people never notice how much their surroundings influence their decisions. They assume every action is entirely personal. But look carefully. Walk into a quiet library. Your voice automatically becomes softer. Walk into a crowded sports stadium. Your energy changes immediately. Walk into a clean office. You naturally want to work. Walk into a cluttered room filled with distractions. Your attention begins scattering before you even sit down. Your surroundings are speaking to your brain all day long. The question is, what are they saying? Your surroundings shape your standards. Repeat it. Your surroundings shape your standards. Again. Your surroundings shape your standards. Look at your workspace. Not tomorrow. Right now. Is it inviting deep work or constant distraction? A desk covered with unfinished papers, random objects, multiple devices, open tabs, notifications flashing, the television running in the background, music competing for attention, messages arriving every few minutes. Then people wonder why concentration feels impossible. The answer is sitting right in front of them. Chaos produces chaos. Clarity produces clarity. A clean workspace is not about appearance. It is about intention. Every object on your desk competes for attention. Every unnecessary item quietly asks your brain to process one more piece of information. Individually, those demands seem small. Together, they become mental noise. Remove what does not serve your work. Keep only what deserves your attention. Every item should answer one question. Does this help me focus? If the answer is no, remove it. Environment beats motivation. Consider your digital environment. Many people carefully organize their homes, yet their phones remain complete chaos. Hundreds of apps, constant notifications, endless badges demanding attention. Every vibration interrupts thinking. Every alert whispers the same message. Look at me. The brain obeys before logic has time to respond. Then people blame themselves for lacking discipline. No. First, change the environment. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Not some. Most of them. Ask yourself honestly, does your weather app need permission to interrupt your thoughts? Does every shopping app deserve immediate access to your attention? Does every social platform deserve a front row seat in your life? Of course not. You have a choice. Every notification you disable is one less battle you have to fight. Remove temptation before temptation removes you. Remember those words. Remove temptation before temptation removes you. Willpower is expensive. Good systems are efficient. Imagine trying to lose weight while keeping cakes on every kitchen counter. Could you succeed? Perhaps. But why make success harder than necessary? The same logic applies to focus. If distracting websites remain one click away, if your phone stays beside your keyboard, if your television runs all afternoon, if your inbox stays permanently open. You're asking discipline to fight unnecessary battles. Stop doing that. Design your environment so your best decision becomes your easiest decision. That is how disciplined people think. They prepare before temptation arrives, not after. That's the key. Now think about time. Not every hour of the day is equal. Your brain has peak hours. Hours when concentration feels easier. Hours when creativity flows naturally. Hours when your energy is highest. Most people waste these precious hours answering messages, attending unnecessary meetings, or consuming information. Then, when their energy collapses, they attempt meaningful work. They have reversed their priorities. Protect your best hours. Your most important work deserves your strongest mind, not whatever energy remains at the end of the day. Ask yourself, when do I think most clearly? Morning? Late evening? Early afternoon? Find that window. Guard it. Treat it as sacred. No unnecessary interruptions. No meaningless conversations. No endless scrolling. Only meaningful work. Environment beats motivation. Create scheduled focus sessions, not vague intentions. Specific appointments with yourself. 9 until 10. Deep work. No phone. No messages. No interruptions. When the schedule begins, the decision has already been made. This removes unnecessary negotiation. Successful people make fewer decisions because important decisions have already been made in advance. They don't wake up asking, "Should I focus today?" The answer was decided yesterday. Structure creates freedom, not limitation. There is enormous power in routine. Many people resist routines because they believe routines eliminate spontaneity. The opposite is often true. Routine eliminates unnecessary decisions. When fewer decisions consume your energy, more attention becomes available for creative thinking. That is why elite performers often live surprisingly simple lives. They protect their mental resources. Every unnecessary decision drains attention. What should I wear? What should I eat? When should I start? Should I check my messages first? By noon, dozens of small decisions have quietly exhausted the mind. Simplify, automate, repeat. Save your attention for what truly matters. Your surroundings shape your standards. This principle also applies to the people around you. Spend enough time with distracted people, and distraction begins feeling normal. Spend enough time with focused people, and discipline becomes contagious. Habits spread through proximity. Attitudes spread through conversation. Standards spread through example. Choose carefully. You don't need to eliminate everyone from your life. You simply need to become aware of what your environment is teaching you. Every room has a culture. Every workplace has a culture. Every group has a culture. Ask yourself honestly, does this environment encourage the person I want to become? If the answer is no, begin changing what you can. Small adjustments create enormous results over time. Perhaps you cannot choose every environment, but you can choose how much influence each one has over you. Remove temptation before temptation removes you. Perhaps the most overlooked part of your environment is silence. Constant background noise trains the brain to expect constant stimulation. Some people cannot work without television playing, without music, without endless conversation, without something filling every quiet space. Try something different. Spend time working in silence. At first, it may feel uncomfortable. Soon, it becomes peaceful. Eventually, silence itself becomes productive, because silence allows attention to settle, and a settled mind performs extraordinary work. Environment beats motivation. Never forget that. If you rely only on motivation, you will succeed only when you feel inspired. If you build the right environment, you will succeed even when inspiration is absent. That is real discipline, not forcing yourself through endless resistance. Creating conditions where excellence becomes the natural choice. Protect your desk. Protect your schedule. Protect your peak hours. Protect your digital space. Protect your attention. Because every small improvement in your environment makes every future decision a little easier. You have a choice. Build an environment that constantly pulls you toward distraction, or build one that quietly guides you toward your highest potential. The decision is yours. Environment beats motivation. Remove temptation before temptation removes you. Your surroundings shape your standards. Live by those principles, and discipline will stop feeling like a daily battle. It will begin feeling like your natural way of living. But even in the perfect environment, one challenge remains. The world will continue offering opportunities, invitations, requests, and distractions. Not everything deserves your attention. The next step is learning one of the most powerful words in the language. No, because success is built as much by what you ignore as by what you pursue. Chapter 7. Learn to ignore. What doesn't matter? The greatest advantage in life is not doing more, it is doing less. Less of what doesn't matter, more of what does. That sounds simple, yet most people spend their lives doing the exact opposite. They chase every opportunity, answer every message, attend every meeting, accept every invitation, react to every problem. They believe success belongs to the person who says yes the most. Success usually belongs to the person who knows when to say no. That's the key. Focus is not only about choosing what deserves your attention, it is also about refusing what doesn't. Every successful person has mastered this lesson, not because they have more time, because they protect the time they already have. Protect your priorities. Say those words. Protect your priorities. Again. Protect your priorities. Everything begins there. Imagine your life as a garden. Every day, you receive seeds. Some grow into fruit trees. Others become weeds. At first, they all look small, harmless, interesting, worth trying. If you plant everything, your garden becomes overcrowded. Nothing receives enough sunlight. Nothing receives enough water. Eventually, even the best plants struggle to survive. Life works exactly the same way. Every commitment occupies space. Every obligation consumes attention. Every responsibility asks for energy. You cannot grow everything. You must choose. You have a choice. Everything important requires sacrifice. Remember that. Everything important requires sacrifice. Not because life is unfair, because time is limited. There are only 24 hours in every day. No amount of ambition can change that. No amount of talent can change that. Every person receives the same number of hours. The difference is how those hours are protected. People often say, "I just need more time." Usually they don't. They need fewer distractions, fewer unnecessary commitments, fewer meaningless obligations, more clarity. That's the key. There is a principle that quietly shapes every successful life. Economists call it opportunity cost. The idea is simple. Every decision costs you something else. If you spend 1 hour watching random videos, you cannot spend that same hour learning a valuable skill. If you spend your evening arguing online, you cannot spend that evening strengthening your relationships. If you accept every request from everyone around you, you slowly abandon the goals that matter most to you. Every yes creates a hidden no. Repeat it. Every yes creates a hidden no. Again. Every yes creates a hidden no. Most people never see the hidden no. They only see the immediate yes. Sure, I can help. Sure, I'll come. Sure, I'll do it. Each decision seems harmless, reasonable, polite, responsible. But hidden beneath every unnecessary yes is something valuable you quietly refused. Perhaps you refused an hour with your family. Perhaps you refused time for exercise. Perhaps you refused progress on your business. Perhaps you refused rest. The cost remains invisible until years pass. Then the hidden cost becomes obvious. The book never gets written. The business never begins. The dream never leaves your imagination, not because you lacked ability, because your attention belonged to everyone except yourself. Protect your priorities. There is an important difference between being kind and being available to everyone. Kindness creates value. Constant availability destroys focus. You do not need to solve every problem. You do not need to attend every event. You do not need to answer every message immediately. You don't need their permission to protect your time. That sentence matters. Many people fear disappointing others, so they constantly disappoint themselves instead. Think about that. How many promises have you broken to yourself because you were busy keeping promises to everyone else? You promised yourself you would exercise. Someone asked for help. You canceled. You promised yourself you would read. Another invitation arrived. You accepted. You promised yourself you would work on your dream. An unexpected distraction appeared. Once again, your own priorities moved to tomorrow. Then tomorrow became next week. Next week became next year. Everything important requires sacrifice. Successful people understand that every commitment must earn its place. They ask one simple question: does this move me closer to the life I'm trying to build? If the answer is yes, commit fully. If the answer is no, walk away peacefully, not with guilt, with clarity. That's the key. Many people believe saying no creates conflict. Often saying yes creates something worse: resentment, exhaustion, burnout, half-finished work, broken promises, shallow relationships. When you say yes to something you never truly wanted, your energy disappears. Your enthusiasm disappears. Eventually, your focus disappears. No becomes an act of honesty, not selfishness. Imagine an archer aiming at a target. If someone keeps asking the archer to turn left, then right, then shoot somewhere else, will the arrow ever reach the original target? Of course not. The archer must ignore every unnecessary direction. Your life deserves the same commitment. One target, one purpose, one direction. Every unnecessary commitment pulls the bow away from what matters. Protect your priorities. There is another hidden cost to constant availability: mental clutter. Every unfinished obligation remains inside your mind. The promise you made, the meeting you agreed to, the favor you accepted, the project you never wanted. Each one occupies attention. By the end of the day, your mind becomes crowded with obligations instead of possibilities. That is why simplifying your commitments often creates immediate peace. You're not only clearing your calendar, you're clearing your mind. Everything important requires sacrifice. Sometimes the sacrifice is obvious: less entertainment, less comfort, less distraction. Sometimes it is more difficult. You must sacrifice approval. Not everyone will understand your boundaries. Some people benefited from your constant availability. When you begin protecting your time, they may call you selfish. Let them misunderstand. Your future cannot be built on everyone else's expectations. You have a choice: protect your dreams, or protect other people's comfort. You cannot always do both. The most focused people are not cold. They are intentional. When they are working, they work. When they are with family, they are fully present. When they rest, they truly rest. They do not allow every outside demand to dictate their day. That is not selfishness. That is responsibility. Your greatest contribution to the world comes from becoming your strongest self, not your most distracted self. Every yes creates a hidden no. Think carefully before saying yes. Not because opportunities are bad, because attention is limited. Before accepting anything new, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this align with my purpose? Does this deserve my best energy? What important thing will I have to say no to if I accept this? Those questions eliminate countless unnecessary commitments. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence makes saying no easier. And every powerful no protects a powerful yes. Protect your priorities. There is a reason successful people often appear selective. They are, not because opportunities are rare, because attention is priceless. They understand that every hour invested in something meaningless is an hour unavailable for something extraordinary. That awareness changes every decision. You begin measuring opportunities differently. Not by excitement, by alignment, not by urgency, by importance, not by popularity, by purpose. Everything important requires sacrifice. The person who builds an extraordinary life is rarely the one who tries to experience everything. It is the one who commits deeply to a few meaningful things. Mastery requires elimination. Focus requires elimination. Peace requires elimination. You cannot carry everything. Stop trying. Choose carefully. Commit completely. Ignore relentlessly. You have a choice. Every day presents hundreds of invitations for your attention. Most of them are distractions disguised as opportunities. Learn the difference. Protect your priorities. Everything important requires sacrifice. Every yes creates a hidden no. Live by those principles, and your attention will stop leaking into things that never deserved it. Instead, it will begin flowing toward the future you actually want to create. But protecting your priorities for one day is not enough. Real transformation is not built through isolated moments of discipline. It is built through repeated days that slowly become a lifetime. Now it's time to discover the true power of consistency. Chapter 8. Focus is built one day at a time. People love dramatic stories, the overnight success, the breakthrough moment, the life-changing opportunity, the single decision that changed everything. Those stories are exciting. They are also incomplete. Behind every extraordinary result are thousands of ordinary days. Days that looked unremarkable. Days that felt repetitive. Days where almost nothing seemed to happen. That is where greatness is built. Not in extraordinary moments, in ordinary ones. That's the key. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 week. At the same time, they underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years of consistent effort. They want immediate transformation. Life offers gradual transformation. You have a choice. You can chase dramatic change, or you can commit to daily improvement. The second path is slower. It is also the one that works. One focused day becomes one focused year. Say those words. One focused day becomes one focused year. Again. One focused day becomes one focused year. Never underestimate the power of today. People often imagine that disciplined individuals wake up every morning overflowing with motivation. The reality is much simpler. They simply show up. Again, and again, and again. Some days they feel inspired. Some days they feel tired. Some days they feel confident. Some days they doubt themselves, yet they continue. Not because every day feels meaningful, because they understand that every day matters. Consistency compounds. Remember that. Consistency compounds. Every action becomes easier through repetition. Every habit becomes stronger through repetition. Every identity becomes more believable through repetition. You're not becoming the person you want to be in one dramatic moment. You're voting for that person every single day. Think about physical fitness. Nobody walks into a gym once and leaves transformed. One workout changes almost nothing. You won't look different. You won't feel dramatically stronger. You may even wonder if it mattered at all. But what happens after 100 workouts? 200? 500? Now everything changes. The body adapts. Strength increases. Confidence grows. People begin asking, "What workout program did you use?" The answer is rarely complicated. I kept showing up. Focus works exactly the same way. One uninterrupted hour feels ordinary. 1 week of focused work feels encouraging. 1 year of focused work changes your life. The process is identical. Small improvements repeated consistently become extraordinary results. Small victories become unstoppable momentum. Repeat it. Small victories become unstoppable momentum. Again. Small victories become unstoppable momentum. Many people wait until they feel capable before taking action. That is backwards. Action creates capability. Imagine learning to play the guitar. The first day feels awkward. Your fingers hurt. The chords sound terrible. The rhythm feels impossible. If you judge your future based on that first day, you'll probably quit. But if you return tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, something remarkable begins to happen. Movements become automatic. Songs become recognizable. Confidence appears, not because talent suddenly arrived, because repetition rewired your abilities. Focus develops the same way. The first 20 minutes may feel difficult. The second week becomes easier. The third month begins feeling natural. Eventually, focused work becomes part of who you are, not something you force yourself to do, something you simply do. Consistency compounds. Most people quit too early because they expect visible rewards immediately. Nature doesn't work that way. Plant a tree. Water it every day. The first week looks almost identical to the day you planted it. The first month still appears unimpressive. Even after several months, growth may seem slow. Then years pass. The roots become deep. The trunk becomes strong. Branches reach toward the sky. People admire the tree. Few admire the years of invisible growth that made it possible. Your habits grow exactly the same way. Much of your progress happens beneath the surface. Each focused session strengthens your ability to concentrate. Each disciplined decision strengthens your character. Each completed promise strengthens your trust in yourself. Others may not notice. You may not notice, but your future self certainly will. One focused day becomes one focused year. Think about the opposite. Imagine someone who wastes just 1 hour every day. 1 hour doesn't seem serious. Tomorrow, they'll do better. Next week, they'll catch up. Next month, they'll become disciplined. Years pass. That single hour quietly becomes hundreds, then thousands. Eventually, entire opportunities disappear. Not because of one terrible decision, because of countless small ones. The same principle works in your favor. Protect one meaningful hour every day. Read, practice, build, write, study, create. Do it again tomorrow. 1 hour becomes 365. 365 become thousands over the years. That is how ordinary people accomplish extraordinary things. Not through intensity, through consistency. Small victories become unstoppable momentum. There is another benefit to daily consistency. It eliminates unnecessary negotiation. Imagine waking up each morning asking, "Should I brush my teeth today?" Ridiculous. Why? Because brushing your teeth has become part of your identity. There is no debate, no internal argument. You simply do it. The same can happen with focus. When focused work becomes part of your identity, you stop asking whether you feel motivated. You begin because that is who you are. Identity removes hesitation. Habits reinforce identity. Consistency builds both. That's the key. Do not become obsessed with perfect days. Perfect days are rare. Consistent days are powerful. Some people ruin an entire week because one morning went badly. They miss a workout. Then skip the next 4. They lose 1 hour. Then surrender the entire day. They break one healthy habit. Then abandon all of them. Do not think that way. One mistake is an event. Repeating the mistake is a pattern. Protect the pattern. If today wasn't perfect, return tomorrow. Immediately. Never allow one bad day to become 2. Consistency is not perfection. Consistency is returning. Again. And again. And again. You have a choice. Every morning presents a new opportunity to become slightly stronger than yesterday. Not dramatically stronger. Slightly stronger. Those small improvements seem invisible, until suddenly they are impossible to ignore. This is why successful people often appear patient. They understand the mathematics of repetition. 1 page every day becomes books completed. 1 mile every day becomes extraordinary endurance. 1 focused hour every day becomes expertise. 1 disciplined decision every day becomes a transformed life. The formula never changes. Consistency compounds. There will always be days when you don't feel like showing up. Show up anyway. There will always be days when progress feels invisible. Continue anyway. There will always be days when others appear to be moving faster. Stay on your path anyway, because comparison destroys consistency. Your only responsibility is to become slightly better than yesterday. That is enough. 1 focused day becomes 1 focused year. Small victories become unstoppable momentum. Consistency compounds. Live by those principles, and you will stop searching for shortcuts. You will become the kind of person who quietly builds success 1 day at a time. And after enough ordinary days, people will call your results extraordinary. But there is one final perspective that can make consistency even more powerful. Imagine that the person you will become 10 years from now is already watching today's decisions. Every focused hour is either building that future or stealing it. That is where we go next. Chapter 9. Guard your future. Like it's already here. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from today. Not the person you hope to become, the person your current habits are creating. What would that person say to you? Would they thank you? Or would they ask a painful question? Why didn't you take me seriously? That question matters, because your future is not waiting somewhere far away. Your future is quietly being built right now. Every hour, every decision, every habit, every distraction, every focused moment. You're building someone you have not met yet. The question is simple. Are you building that person or abandoning them? Future you is watching. Repeat those words. Future you is watching. Again. Future you is watching. Whether you notice it or not, every decision sends a message to the person you're becoming. Some decisions say, I care about your future. Others say, I'll think about you later. Most people sacrifice tomorrow for today. Successful people often sacrifice today for tomorrow. That is the difference. That's the key. Imagine 2 versions of the same evening. In the first version, you arrive home, tired. You immediately sink into the couch. You begin scrolling. 1 video becomes another. 1 episode becomes 3. Hours disappear. You tell yourself you deserved the break. Tomorrow you'll be more productive. Tomorrow you'll begin. Now imagine another version. You still feel tired. You still want comfort. But before relaxing, you spend 1 focused hour learning, building, practicing, writing, planning. Only 1 hour. Then you rest. Which version serves your future? The answer is obvious. The challenge is making that decision consistently. Every choice is a vote for tomorrow. Remember that. Every choice is a vote for tomorrow. Not some choices. Every choice. The food you eat, the books you read, the conversations you encourage, the habits you repeat, the distractions you accept, the thoughts you practice. Each one quietly casts another vote. Eventually, the votes become your identity. Many people think life changes through one enormous decision. More often, life changes because thousands of tiny votes all point in the same direction. 1 healthy meal, 1 focused work session, 1 workout, 1 difficult conversation, 1 hour without unnecessary distractions. None of those moments transform your life alone. Together, they transform everything. Protect the person you're becoming. Say those words. Protect the person you're becoming. Again, protect the person you're becoming. Imagine planting 2 seeds. The first receives water every day. The second is ignored. For weeks, the difference appears small. Months later, one grows into a strong tree. The other never had a chance. Your future works exactly the same way. Every habit is water. Every distraction is neglect. The life you experience tomorrow depends on what you nourish today. You have a choice. Your career depends on this principle. Many people dream about promotions, leadership, financial freedom, recognition. Then they spend years avoiding the work required to earn those outcomes. They wait for opportunity. Focused people prepare for opportunity. When opportunity finally arrives, it appears that luck favored them. Luck had very little to do with it. Preparation met opportunity. The preparation happened quietly. Day after day. Future you is watching. Think about business. Every successful company begins long before customers appear, before profits, before headlines. Someone spends months, sometimes years, building something that produces no immediate reward. Friends question the effort. Family members don't always understand. Results remain invisible. Yet the builder continues. Why? Because they are working for a future that others cannot yet see. That is vision. Can you do the same with your own life? Can you work for a future that has not yet arrived? Can you trust the process before the rewards appear? Everything meaningful requires that kind of faith. Your health teaches the same lesson. No one becomes unhealthy overnight. No one becomes physically strong overnight. Bodies respond to repeated choices. One healthy meal means little. 1,000 healthy meals change everything. One workout changes little. Hundreds reshape your body. One night of quality sleep seems ordinary. Years of proper recovery create extraordinary energy. Every choice is a vote for tomorrow. There are no exceptions. Personal growth follows the same pattern. Read 10 pages today. Perhaps nothing changes. Read 10 pages every day for 5 years. Your thinking becomes unrecognizable. Learn one new skill this month. Learn another next month. Continue for a decade. People begin calling you talented. What they call talent is often accumulated discipline. Protect the person you're becoming. There is another powerful exercise. Before making any important decision, pause. Imagine your future self standing beside you, watching quietly, not judging, simply observing. Ask one question. Will this decision make your life better? Sometimes the answer will be yes. Sometimes the answer will be painfully clear. That one question can change everything, because it forces you to stop thinking only about immediate pleasure. Immediate pleasure is seductive. It asks for very little. Just one more video. One more snack. One more excuse. One more day of procrastination. Delayed achievement asks for something different. Patience, discipline, consistency, faith. The rewards arrive later, much later. That is why so few people remain committed. They are willing to pay today's price only if tomorrow's reward arrives immediately. Life rarely works that way. The harvest always follows the planting, never the other way around. Future you is watching. Imagine your future self writing you a letter. It might say, "Thank you for reading," instead of scrolling. "Thank you for exercising even when you didn't feel like it." "Thank you for protecting your attention." "Thank you for learning instead of complaining." "Thank you for staying focused when distraction looked easier." Those small moments built the life I now enjoy. every ordinary decision became an extraordinary gift. That future is possible, but only if today's version of you decides it matters. You have a choice. Many people think they are making decisions only for themselves. That is not true. You're making decisions for the person you will become, for your future family, for your future health, for your future opportunities, for your future peace of mind. Every distraction steals something from that future. Every focused action gives something back. Protect the person you're becoming. One of the greatest tragedies in life is not failure. It is potential left unused. Books never written, businesses never started, skills never developed, dreams never pursued. Not because people lacked intelligence, because they kept postponing the life they wanted until someday. Someday is not a day on the calendar. It is an excuse. The future is built only in today. That's the key. There is no other place to shape tomorrow. Only here. Only now. One focused hour. One disciplined decision. One meaningful action. Repeated often enough, those choices become a remarkable life. Every choice is a vote for tomorrow. Live as if your future self is standing beside you, because in many ways, they are. They exist inside every decision you make, every habit you repeat, every distraction you refuse, every promise you keep. Future you is watching. Protect the person you're becoming. Every choice is a vote for tomorrow. Hold on to those three truths, and your future will slowly begin matching your highest intentions instead of your lowest impulses. And that brings us to the final chapter. This audiobook has never been about productivity alone. It has been about identity. Because lasting focus is not something you occasionally practice. It is someone you become. Chapter 10. Become someone who cannot be distracted. Everything you've heard in this audiobook has been leading to one moment. Not a productivity system. Not another habit. Not another morning routine. Something much deeper. An identity. Because habits can disappear. Motivation can fade. Goals can change. But identity remains. That is the real transformation. Most people spend their lives asking, how can I focus better? The better question is, who must I become so that focus becomes natural? That's the key. When you change your identity, your behavior begins changing automatically. You no longer force yourself to protect your attention. You naturally protect it. You no longer struggle to say no. You naturally refuse what doesn't deserve your time. You no longer fight distraction every moment. You recognize it immediately. Then you move on, without guilt, without drama, without hesitation. That is what it means to become someone who cannot be distracted. Not someone who never sees distraction, someone who no longer follows it. There is a difference. You have a choice. You can spend your life chasing discipline, or you can become a disciplined person. One approach depends on feelings. The other depends on identity. Think about someone who says, I'm trying to quit smoking. Now compare that with someone who says, I don't smoke. The first person is constantly negotiating. The second person has already decided who they are. Identity removes negotiation. The same principle applies to focus. Stop saying, I'm trying to become more focused. Begin saying, I protect my attention. That small shift changes everything, because your brain begins looking for evidence that supports your identity. Every time you complete one uninterrupted hour of work, you reinforce it. Every time you ignore a meaningless notification, you reinforce it. Every time you finish what you started, you reinforce it. Eventually, focus stops feeling like effort. It becomes your standard. Attention creates destiny. Repeat those words. Attention creates destiny. Again, attention creates destiny. Everything you've built in your life began as something that received your attention. Every skill, every relationship, every achievement, every regret, every habit, everything. Attention is the beginning of action. Action becomes repetition. Repetition becomes character. Character becomes destiny. That chain never breaks. People often ask why one person succeeds while another, with equal intelligence, remains stuck. Sometimes the answer is remarkably simple. One person consistently protected their attention. The other consistently surrendered it. Years later, those tiny daily choices became two completely different lives. Never underestimate small decisions. They are rarely small. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of stone. The masterpiece is not created in one dramatic strike. It is created through thousands of careful movements, chip by chip, day after day. The sculptor removes everything that does not belong. Your life works the same way. You're sculpting your future every day. Every distraction removed reveals more of who you can become. Every unnecessary commitment removed creates more room for meaningful work. Every hour of focused attention removes another layer between you and your highest potential. The masterpiece has always been inside. Discipline simply uncovers it. Guard your mind, and your future will guard itself. Remember that. Guard your mind, and your future will guard itself. The modern world will continue changing. Technology will become faster. Entertainment will become more addictive. Algorithms will become more persuasive. Notifications will become more intelligent. The battle for your attention will never end. If anything, it will become more intense. That is why this skill matters now more than ever before. Focus is no longer just a productivity advantage. It is a survival advantage. The people who can think deeply will lead. The people who can concentrate will create. The people who can remain calm amid endless distraction will shape the future. Which one will you become? You have a choice. Think back to where this audiobook began. We said that every distraction steals a piece of the future you're trying to build. That statement is still true. But now you understand something even more important. Every focused decision builds that future. You are never standing still. Every day you are either constructing your future or quietly dismantling it. There is no neutral ground. Every choice is moving you somewhere. Attention creates destiny. Perhaps the greatest mistake people make is believing they need one perfect day. They don't. They need another focused day, then another, then another. The future is never created in one dramatic burst of discipline. It is created in ordinary mornings, quiet afternoons, peaceful evenings, moments when no one is watching, moments when no applause exists, moments when the only person who knows the right decision is you. That is where character grows. That is where identity forms. That is where greatness begins. Master your focus before it's too late. Say those words. Master your focus before it's too late. Again. Master your focus before it's too late. Because there comes a moment when lost years cannot be recovered. Books that were never written remain unwritten. Businesses that were never started remain dreams. Relationships ignored become distant. Health neglected becomes difficult to restore. Time never argues. It simply continues moving. The question is not whether time will pass. It will. The question is who you will become while it does. Imagine two versions of yourself standing before you. One protected attention, the other surrendered it. One built skills, the other collected distractions. One invested in tomorrow, the other lived only for today. One became calm, capable, and focused. The other became busy, overwhelmed, and reactive. Both had the same number of hours. Both lived in the same world. Both faced the same distractions. The difference was never circumstances. The difference was identity. One decided, I am someone who guards my mind. That single decision quietly changed everything. Never forget that focus is not measured by one extraordinary week. It is measured by thousands of ordinary decisions. Every morning you choose where your attention goes. Every afternoon you decide whether distraction deserves another hour. Every evening you decide whether your future matters enough to prepare for tomorrow. Those decisions become habits. Those habits become identity. That identity becomes your life. Guard your mind, and your future will guard itself. Some people spend years searching for complicated answers. They believe success must be hidden inside secret techniques, rare strategies, perfect systems. But after everything you've heard, you already know the truth. The principles are simple. Protect your attention. Stay with meaningful work. Accept boredom. Ignore what doesn't matter. Build supportive environments. Choose consistency over intensity. Think about your future before acting in the present. Repeat these lessons long enough, and they stop being lessons. They become instincts. That is the destination. Not forced discipline. Natural discipline. Not occasional focus. Permanent focus. Not temporary motivation. A transformed identity. One day, people will ask how you became so calm, so productive, so consistent, so difficult to distract. They will assume you discovered some secret. Smile, because the secret was never complicated. You simply learned to protect the most valuable thing you possess. Your attention. Attention creates destiny. Everything you've become is proof of what you've consistently paid attention to. Everything you will become depends on what you choose to pay attention to next. Master your focus before it's too late. Not tomorrow. Not next Monday. Not next year. Today. Because today's attention becomes tomorrow's reality. Today's discipline becomes tomorrow's freedom. Today's focus becomes tomorrow's opportunities. Today's identity becomes tomorrow's life. You have a choice, always. Choose to become someone who cannot be distracted. Choose to become someone who guards the gate to their own mind. Choose to become someone whose attention serves their purpose instead of someone else's profits. Choose to become someone who finishes, who builds, who creates, who thinks deeply, who lives intentionally. Because the world does not need more distracted people. It needs more focused ones. And the next focused person can be you. Master your focus before it's too late. Attention creates destiny. Guard your mind, and your future will guard itself. This audiobook ends here. Your transformation begins now. This audiobook was never about working harder. It was about protecting the one resource that creates everything else, your attention. Every chapter has pointed to the same truth. Your future isn't stolen in one dramatic moment. It's stolen one distraction at a time. Every notification, every excuse, every unnecessary interruption, every hour given to things that don't deserve your life. But the opposite is also true. Every focused hour builds confidence. Every disciplined decision strengthens your character. Every day you protect your attention, you become harder to distract, harder to defeat, and impossible to stop. Remember these words. Protect your attention. Protect your future. What owns your attention owns your life. Master your focus before it's too late. Now close this audiobook. Remove one distraction. Do one meaningful task without interruption. Then do it again, tomorrow. Your future is waiting for the version of you who finally decides to focus.